entertainment, current events, and Hollywood. Don't miss Creator to Creators, hosted by the filmmaker Meosha Bean, known for the Shudder hit documentary Horror Noir and the acclaimed film Anatomy of an Anti-Hero, Redemption. This show features interviews with filmmakers and creatives from around the globe. Join the fun with guest celebrities and gain valuable insights. Subscribe now and follow Creator to Creators.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators today. Today we have a special guest.
Shea William Vanderpoort.
Welcome.
I was ready this time.
Absolutely. You know, I love going back to the beginning. You know, I always say that the beginning charts our trajectory in life, our little habits that we pick up along the way, follow us into our adulthood. What was your childhood like, and when did you find the love for the arts?
Yeah. I mean, so much of our stories begin, I think, at our childhoods, and it feels like increasingly as I age, it's unpacking that stuff. And you see it in adults too. Sorry to just jump into this, but like you see that people struggle with it their entire lives, and so I think it's important to understand that part, because it builds your foundation. And for me, I think my parents split when I was pretty young. I was like four-ish, I think, 3 or 4. And there was a lot of traveling, a lot of like being in the car, going to dad's house, going to mom's house, going to Lola's house, grandma's, like auntie, whatever. And I think the thing that all kept it sort of in perspective, and like what I found, what I was inspired by, was a lot of the media that I was taking in, and art through like mainstream media, which would probably be at the time like cartoons, television, movies, comic books, things like that. So that's really, I think, was the beginning of it. Was a lot of consumption, actually, kind of like all the things they tell you not to do when you're raising a child, I believe, these days. But I get, maybe it worked for me. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I love that. And you know, what age do you think you were when, I don't know, was it something that you watched that kind of made you say, you know, solidified it and made it like, okay, this is exactly what I want to do, like whatever that this is, like I want to do it? Like when did you formulate, okay, cinematography or directing or writing, like when did that all, like as a career?
Yeah, that's tough to pinpoint. I think as somebody who considers themselves an artist, you know, it's a lot about discovery. So for me, it was jumping into things, getting my hands dirty, and seeing like, where do I fit? What should I be doing? Because I started in illustration. I was dead set on it my whole life. Like I grew up drawing with my older brother Jeremy, who introduced me to like comic books and stuff.
Nice.
And my dad as well. And that was really the beginning of my artistic journey, because from then, like from literally like birth pretty much to, I would say, senior high school graduating, I was like, I'm gonna be an artist. Like I'm gonna literally like draw comic books. That's all I wanted to do. But late in high school, I got into music, which then led into film. So it was just, you know, this natural evolution of an artist trying to express yourself and figure things out in a world that's like overly complicated, but very simple at the same time. So the moment that I decided I wanted to do film was because I was in music, I was going to school part-time and working. So I was done with college. Like it took me so long. It took me like, I don't know, 8 years, 9 years or something like that. And I was about to graduate finally. And then I took a world cinema class.
Nice.
A world cinema class. And I didn't realize that film could be that interesting and that dynamic and that different, and all of the structures and formulas that we learned. It's like, oh, film doesn't always have to be like that. So I would say that was probably the moment, was that in combination with working with a friend of mine, Steve Soria from high school. He did a music video for my band. And in doing that, I was like, oh, I love this actually. Like I think I like this. I think I love this more than music, which is crazy because
Mm,
the things you want to do for your whole life, like you're set on, you try something else and you're like, oh, this is probably overtaking that. Um, but I will say that I think it's all an accumulation and a culmination of my journey
yeah,
because yeah, like illustration was composition,
yeah.
um, and then music was like adding sound to that, and then film is really all of it combined. So
That
yeah, I
is
think
so
that was.
cool. Of course
Thank
you
you,
were
thank
you
you.
had a band. Of course. You're like super cool. Like
Well,
you're
can't
one
you
of
tell
those
from these
creative.
headphones?
Yes,
Look at this.
absolutely. You're like those creatives that they're kind of like that, the what is it, the Donald Glover. You have like the
Oh
multiple
boy,
like lanes of
big
creativity.
shoes.
I mean, you're doing it. And
Yeah.
I'm curious about just, growing up right in Northeast Los Angeles with such diverse cultural, backgrounds. How did that, like growing up in those areas, shape your perspective as a storyteller?
You know, I think the interesting thing about Los Angeles, especially you being here, I think there's a large misconception about it. Being in Northeast LA, especially like 80s, 90s, and stuff like that, there was a pretty prevalent like gang culture at the time. And so growing up in that time, it was like very, very different because the way that you carried yourself, the way that you walked on the street, who you looked at, how you looked at them, um, really dictated like how you moved in the world, you know? And so growing up with that amongst a lot of Filipino, Mexican, and Chinese like people in the area in Frogtown, but then also going over to the other like side of town in like a little outside in like Pomona Diamond Bar area, that's a different experience, you know? So I was experiencing both. And then I would also be in North Hollywood as well. Um, so I think just having that like dynamic of an experience, it really helped me understand people,
Mm,
um, and also having like a large family as well. So, you know, the whole thing of like entertainment and LA, like Los Angeles and entertainment and all that, it's like not everybody here is in the entertainment industry or
right.
trying to be famous. You know, most of the people here are normal working class people who don't, you know, my family came, one side came from the Philippines. Um, and you know what I mean? Like they didn't come here with a bunch of money, you know? So they're just working class people. And then on the other side was like my Dutch Indonesian family. So from Holland via like Indonesia, same, you
Nice.
know, they just came here and so like being from immigrant parents and stuff, you have that to add on top of it, you know? So I think I strayed a little bit from the question, maybe, but I guess what I'm trying to get at is having like a diverse experience, but also of like sort of immigrant. You're like observing, sort of taking part, but also just like taking in a lot of information. And I think all of that helped inform me um, on how to like move forward and in the spaces that I'm in.
Yeah. I mean, your resume is impeccable. I was reading, I was like, oh my God, like how do you find the time? I feel like I'm a workaholic, but like, holy moly, do you sleep, Um, which is, hey,
Yo.
it's
Oh no, no, no.
incredible. Absolutely. Like, I from Awkward Black Girl, I mean, which was such
Yeah.
a pivotal,
Oh,
groundbreaking web series. I mean, the fact that, she raised so much money for a web series. I think it was like the
Yeah.
first that ever to be done that way. How did that happen? Like, working on that project, how'd you get, involved in that project? I'm so curious.
Oh my God. Okay. If I go too long, you got to cut me off or something. Because that's it really is one of the most beautiful and one of my most favorite times of my life.
Love
You
that.
know, that'll always be this milestone. That still drives me to this day, you
That's
know.
amazing.
So I guess the short version of how I even got involved in it was it, 2010, I was saying yes to everything
Yeah.
because 2009 was the crash. I was still pretty young, but I had at the time started buying a home with like my partner, and we lost the house basically. And so it was
Oh,
like, okay, I was slightly outside of LA, and I was like, I need to get back to where I'm at, you know, because I was driving it all the time.
yeah.
So moved to Pasadena with a bunch of friends so we could afford it.
Yeah.
Got a house, and we all just like, and this is different times. This is like 2009 or something. So you could get, we had a 4 bedroom house for 2000 a month.
Man,
So our
those
rent
were the
was
days.
cheap. Yeah, yeah. So we all did that. And I just was like saying yes to everything. And I had helped a friend. I thought I was helping a friend, my buddy Cody, but I actually was helping his friend Javier. So it's like, you know, it's like if you ask me to help you, I'm like, hey, what are we getting into? And then you're
Yeah.
like, oh, actually, we're helping my other friend. So I'm kind of like, okay, that's weird, but all right, let's go. So we shoot for like 22 hours straight, which was
Wow.
crazy. It just needed to be done. We did a short together. Not long after that, he sends me a web series, right? Like this kind of skit thing. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, tell me what you think about it. Um, from a technical standpoint, right? So I kind of break it down a little bit, and then he responds and says, "Oh, great! I forwarded it to the producer." And I'm like, "Wait, what? Why would you do? You didn't tell me, you know, you were gonna do that." So I couldn't remember. I was like, "Did I say anything bad about this project?" So I'm like mortified, right? And he's like, "Hey, the producer wants to talk to you."
Nice.
Like, cool. So Tracey Oliver calls me, and I don't know who she is. Like, we don't know each other. And she's basically like, hey, I got your email. And I'm kind of like, oh shit, what's she gonna say? And she's like, I agree. I was like, oh, okay. And she's like, you know, do you want to be a part of it? Do you have ideas? Whatever. So not long after, first day I show up, um, I just have a camera and one light. That's all I have. I have
I
no
love
money, just
it.
lost a house, like barely affording rent.
Wow.
This is not a paid thing, by the way. It's I think people don't understand how grassroots this was. Like we were all broke and we all didn't have
Mm.
money. And we were putting money in the whole time, you
Yeah.
know. So I just had one light and I had one camera, and I showed up, and it was like, okay, what's the shot? And I'm like, wait, oh, like you need like that, like this is how we're doing it. So it was great though because we just all had to come together um to accomplish something that was greater than all of us, you know. Everyone's egos got pushed aside, and we just worked together to create this web series, you know.
That's beautiful. I mean, look, I mean, that's honestly how that it's so real because I feel like a lot of people we see the success. A lot of people see the success, but they don't see the work and the grueling hours
Oh my
and the
god.
stress and like you said, not having money, but everyone pitching in and putting down their egos, like really coming together and creating something special um collectively, right? Because there's never like one, but and it's so important for I think a lot of people who are trying to get in this business to also remember is to not, like you said, say yes. And I love that. I love that you're just saying yes to things.
Yeah, that year I said yes, and like you, that you could not have predicted that route, right? There's no way because how? Like I went to help. I'm sorry, I missed the key part of the story. Um, so Tracey actually, I believe, asked Javier, the guy that I helped on the short,
Yeah.
to do the position that I got. And he said, actually, I think I know somebody that's better suited for that job. So he could have taken that opportunity himself, right? But
Absolutely.
he felt like, you know what, this person that I just met is better suited. So
Incredible.
I just really like appreciated that because he was going beyond himself. And I appreciated both Tracey and Issa trusting me with like their project. Cause that's one of the things, like, it drives me crazy when people don't care about working together on something because at some point, like, that was somebody's dream.
Yeah.
Like, they're sitting there and they're like, I have a dream. I want to do this. And every time I receive a project that's like, I know that,
Yeah.
so you want to honor it. And it's just so cool because, you talked about us raising the money. We didn't raise that until like late in the season.
Wow.
We didn't have that at all until like episode maybe 8. And
Wow.
I think there was only 10 in the first season.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, I remember you said the hours and the work, like me and Issa would fall asleep on each other's couches, like editing, because we're just
Wow.
like,
I love
oh,
it.
okay. It's like you look back, hey, what do you think about this part? And you're like, you're like passed out, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's just what it took. We would meet in coffee shops, edit our places, just wherever we could. Um, Same with Tracey. And what was so cool was you mentioned Donald Glover earlier, was that, you know, through Tracey, we were able to like get to him, and he was in our finale in the first season, and we were no one, you know what I mean? We were nobody,
Great.
like, so it was just it's such a special time for sure.
What do you think? What do you think? And I'm just curious from your point of view, being, working and being in the trenches and creating this amazing piece. What do you think? Why do you think it worked and or was well received?
Listen, like, I will always I mean, clearly Issa Rae is an amazing talent. Clearly Tracy Oliver is an amazing talent. These are one of one people, right?
Yeah.
But um it really took belief, but my number one belief in why it worked was because of like, it's like we can't even say this word anymore, but like the diverse group that working together to create the show, because we all come from such different backgrounds.
Yeah.
None of us come from anywhere near where we were born, but
Mhm.
we all have like a kinship that's undeniable, um because I, at the time, was like, I'm going to be this avant-garde, like new wave filmmaker, and like,
Yeah.
just super experimental, right? And only drama. I had never done anything comedic ever.
Wow.
So at that time, so I'm bringing that. I'm like, oh, I'm this art house director, like, nose in the air kind of thing. Not really, but like, you know what I mean. Um, and then you have Tracey, who has this really strong, I just feel like she always has such an understanding of like the fundamentals and the basics of what a story needs, because
Mhm.
it's easy to lose that as like somebody who's always trying to push the artistry. You can lose you can lose the audience. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So
Yeah.
she has such a strong understanding of story, character, and like the emotional core of it all. And then you pair that with that artistry, um, and Issa's knack of like finding something and just kind of like adding that little extra flair to it, or her like sensibilities. It's just that recipe, that like three-headed like beast, of
Yeah.
us working together. I think that's what did it, along with a need, because I don't know that it was like a goal or a mission for it was, maybe it was a little more earnest, like it kind of
Yeah.
turned it into a grand thing. But we didn't see any um dark skin representation at that time, especially. And also just her being able to be closer to who she is in real life
Yeah.
versus a projection of something that people want you to be or perceive you
Yeah,
to be.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Um, so I'm curious, what you said about diversity and just
Yeah.
how everybody's from different backgrounds. Do you feel like the industry and from being from your amazing repertoire is changing um
Yeah.
for the better? I mean, we've had a lot of movements, we've done a lot of amazing, we've created a lot of things since. Do you feel as a director, creator yourself, things are moving in a better direction for diversity as a whole, like all of us?
Um, that's hard to say. I think it modulates.
Okay.
I do believe that Awkward Black Girl, along with other shows and uh, plays and other things in the media, definitely, I think so.
Yeah.
Because I mean, maybe I don't even get a shot like without that. You know what I mean? That's why I'm so grateful, like for Tracey giving me my shot in television because I was always the same director, filmmaker person. Um, and I had to accept that like maybe I never get a shot, but I'll just be that person,
Yeah.
So I think that if we don't give people those shots, like you'll never see the results that we're hoping for and want. So I guess just by me even working in television, yes,
Yeah.
because that's my personal experience. As a whole, I feel like that it is getting better. I think it depends. Like if you're speaking about strictly directors, there is little growth because of the DGA, the Directors Guild.
Yeah.
They're, I believe, the only guild that will actually report the numbers and the percentages
Mhm.
like in a pie chart,
Okay.
and they break it down, yeah, by different ethnicities and gender as well.
Interesting.
So you can track that. I know for my specific, like if I'm going to put myself in a box and it's like, male, Asian, or whatever, that growth has not, um, there has been no growth for a number of years.
Yikes.
Um, but I think in other areas there have been, which is great. And I think, it's that balance of it happening organically.
Mhm.
And I think that recently maybe there's been a little bit of like, are we going to keep doing this or what's happening? And I think it's just because people don't want to do the work. I think it's harder.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I think it's harder to find the people because it takes a little bit of effort, but I think it's always worth it because if you whatever you put in, you're going to get more, right? If you're
It's
doing
true.
good work. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So mhm.
I love that. Is that something I mean, you did as this season 3 of Harlem. I mean,
Mm,
it's freaking incredible.
thank you. Oh my God.
Um,
It's my favorite. Yeah.
like do you go into projects looking for, you know, I don't know, I'm curious, what makes you say yes to something?
You know, I would say more recently it's been people,
Yeah.
like who am I working with? Because I really feel like whatever it is, whatever the subject matter is, there's a way to make it
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
There's a way to make it impactful.
Yeah.
Um, my favorite has been people. I mean, I can't even tell you, like everyone in Harlem is the best person I've ever met. You know what I
Oh.
mean? Like already Tracey, she's one of my best friends. She's an incredible human. So that's easy. I mean, Tracey, if she were just to be like, hey shit, yes, yes, whatever it is, yeah.
Yes.
Uh, but besides that, I know a lot of the cast has talked about this, but Megan, she really set a tone, of how on the performer side and like on that level. People were going to treat each other and sort of move, on that set. And it was like a bunch of friends who got to hang out, but also work really hard,
Yeah.
you know. Um, but we were able to play, and I think that's really the best when you get the best results. Is that
Absolutely.
when you get to play, you get the best results because there's like you're in the flow, you're in the zone, you know. Um, so yeah, I mean it's the people, the people at the top. You've got like Tracey Oliver and Britt Matt who run it,
Yeah.
and they're the best. They're calm leaders, like, and then of course there's so much other, just everyone on. I can go on forever about Harlem. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's spectacular. I mean, I mean, I wonder what's your like what your process, as far as like when you're directing, especially this kind of show, and it's so fun, such a fun show. It's like almost like, and I don't want to compare, but it's its own, it's in its own lane. But sometimes you kind of think kind of Sex in a City kind of vibes, very like, these women are just out here
Yeah.
trying to like find love, but they're amazing, and the ups and downs of it, and but it's the humor and like you said, the love, which I love. But what was your process for like working with these actors and bringing the best performance? Like, how did you approach this show? You know?
Yeah. So do you mean strictly from just because there are numerous aspects
Yes.
performance wise, like
Yes.
actor interaction and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actor
So
director interaction.
yeah, so with them, they just make it so easy. It's hard to even be like, I did that or I did this. Really, what it is like know the script, know the characters. They know the characters best, right? But they might be locked into the character in that specific scene in that moment,
Yeah.
right? So I guess from that, it's my job just to be further back, zoomed out, look at it as a whole from an episode, a season, a whole season, all seasons, right?
Yeah.
As a show. So I want to understand all their arcs and their development as a character. So sometimes I can maybe give a little bit of insight um, as to where they are chronologically, because obviously also we don't shoot chronologically.
Yeah.
So you almost want to be aware of, sometimes I would have to think, okay, in Tasha's episode that she's directing, Jerry's like here, but that's before my episode or it's after my episode. From scene to scene, you have to
Yeah.
know. So you just really have to know the material. When it comes to interacting with them, they make it so easy because they're so professional.
Love that.
Always know their lines, always know they always have intention. And so really again, to bring it back to the play, it's just us riffing together back and forth on like, hey, what if you did this? Would that be funny? Like, oh, would it be more impactful if you emphasize this part? Um, and I guess the last little thing I'll add that I like to do that I don't tell anyone usually is that if I have a line suggestion, I'll just have the actors do it. So it seems like they did it.
You're right, you're right.
And that's my favorite because it's like no one has to know, it's for the better of the show. And if it helps enrich the script that way and it feels natural, we can see it happen on screen.
Yeah.
I think that's the way. I think a lot of times tonally, I know that it works is you're literally like watching it
Yeah.
like happen in front of you. So if the line worked, you know, uh, and if it didn't, you also know.
Right. Absolutely. I have this fun question, and there's no wrong answer. But the three levels of influence: money, power, and respect. And if you could choose only one of those things, which one would you choose and why?
Oh my god, that's so easy. Money. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, well, hey,
No,
no
listen,
judgments here.
I wish. No, no, no. I care. I don't care about money so much. It's an issue, but respect, easy respect, respect.
Yeah.
Because look, like my thing is when you lose people in your life, like, um, who cares? No one cares about your money. No one cares about your power.
Very true.
It's like, I mean, if you don't have any respect and you're going in the ground, and people are happy that you're being lowered, like that sucks. I
That
mean,
sucks. Yeah.
it's totally about respect for me, because there are rich, powerful, famous people that I respect less than people who have the most seemingly insignificant jobs there are.
Mhm.
But one thing that was eye-opening for me was, um I I was training martial arts, like, in Pasadena. And you meet all kinds of people. You meet like lawyers, you meet cops, you meet janitors, like, and one guy in particular. But like, what's cool about it is, on the mat, you're all the same,
Right.
right? You're
Right.
all the same. So the cool part is, I would meet somebody who is a young, intelligent, strong person that could probably go out into the world and be successful if they go chase their path or whatever. But instead, this person works at a law firm to support his mother,
Yeah.
pays for all of her stuff, pays for his brother's stuff because he needs help because he has a kid. On the
Yeah.
weekends, right? On the weekends, instead of taking a weekend, he's like delivering and blowing up like party equipment, like bounce houses and stuff on the weekend. So this dude works 7 days a week, and not for himself.
Yeah.
So it's like, I respect that person way more than like some famous somebody that's super powerful and has all like, uh mansions and pools and whatever else they want. It's really about the person and the quality of the person you are. So respect 100%.
I love that. And I agree, absolutely agree with that. Um, what advice would you give to, that young person coming up trying to get into this business?
Man, I think it's find your people, it's find your tribe, it's find your community, because you can't do anything alone. Um, I tried. But keep it small, like, don't I think it's easy to chase opportunity. Um, I think it's easy to be opportunistic and sort of chase the tail of something that looks like it's going to get you something. I think it's like, don't be afraid of the work, um, because it's that, what is it, delayed gratification. It's like,
Mm,
you're working towards something, and when you finally get it, you can actually appreciate it
yeah,
for what it is.
yeah,
And something that I'm learning, young to old, is when you meet those people who are willing to do the work and willing to work, you realize that, like, they're not entitled, because they know that they have to work for what, like, they're going to receive, you know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that.
Mhm.
That's beautiful. Um,
Yeah.
do you have anything that you're working on that you like to share with our show? Anything coming up?
You know, it's a few too many things in development that I'm doing to really jump into any one of them.
I love it. I love
I will say that, in related to Harlem, I did direct Shaniqua's music video, Feel My
it.
Love, which was really cool.
Awesome.
So that's out there, related to Harlem. Um,
Very cool.
but other than that, yeah, just developing stuff and looking for what's next. There was something that I had, but due to the strikes, we lose some. So we just keep it moving.
Absolutely. Well, where can people find you on social media? Follow everything you got going on.
Oh man, I'm on Instagram. I post once in a while. Shea William Vanderpoort, the whole name, the whole the whole name.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love that. I love that. Thank you so much. I could talk to you all day, but time is like
same.
down. But this was This was lovely. I appreciate your time and your perspective. And yeah, no, I do you have a favorite quote? Like I have a favorite quote, but like I'm curious of do you have that like anything that like when you're feeling down, something that comes to mind that kind of keeps you going?
Oh my gosh, you put me on the spot. I don't have one. There is one, but I'm gonna butcher it, and I can't. I used to have it on a post-it right here, and it fell off, and I
Oh.
don't know where it's at. But it was something like and I don't know who like said it. I want to say it was some kind of Buddhist monk or something like that, you know. Um, but it was something like um, always live from the good in you. Um, but then it like trailed off into something weird because it was like because every day is like Happy New Year or something like that. It like didn't make sense fully, but my favorite part was the live from the good in you.
Yeah.
I think that that is not as easy for some people to do as it should be, you know.
Very true. I love that. Thank you so much. This was wonderful. Um,
Thank you. I appreciate you and your time, and this has been great.
we'll definitely connect and have a coffee or something. I saw that you were drinking something.
Please.
Coffee, tea?
Yeah, I got like this sinus thing
Oh,
recently, so my
sorry.
voice is like all bare. So yeah, it's just hot water,
Oh,
and it's hot water, calamansi, which is a Filipino like citrus,
oh,
and lemon. Yeah.
sounds good. Well, feel better. And thank you again.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your time. And thank
Yes.
you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.